on this car-crazy episode of MythBusters.
The obscenity begins.
Adam and Jamie think outside the box.
Well, there's your problem.
As they literally reinvent the wheel.
Our lives have officially become a cartoon.
Testing the myth that square wheels will give you a smooth ride. Provided you drive fast enough. Meanwhile, Carrie, Tori, and Grant tackle a date night movie myth.
There's something you don't see every day.
Can two cars stuck bumper to bumper
Let's do it.
drive city streets?
I've got no steering.
Cut corners
Do you believe we're getting paid to do this?
and even do a 180 spin.
So yeah, that was pretty much the best date I've ever been on.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman.
Things are gonna start to get a little crazy in here.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience, together with Grant Imahara, Carrie Byron, and Tori Belleci. They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
Hey, what you doing?
Daydreaming.
What is a Heineman daydream about?
Square wheels. Like, what if you put square wheels on a truck?
I would imagine it would give you the roughest possible ride. It would be the clunkiest imaginable ride.
Well, it would in the start, but if you went fast enough, it'd eventually smooth out, wouldn't it?
You're wondering how fast you have to drive with square wheels in order to get a smooth ride.
Yeah.
That's great. I think we should put it to the test.
It may have come from the Heineman's mind, but it's also going gangbusters on the fan site. Because according to the myth, at a fast enough speed, the difference between square and round wheels would disappear. But can this really be true? Or is this a myth that's headed back to square one?
So what's your plan for these square wheels?
Well, pretty much everything that we need for this is going to be really abused. So the wheels we're going to have to design to be able to take all of the stress. The truck's going to have to be really heavy duty. It's going to have to be four-wheel drive and have a big torquey engine in it.
Super beefy wheels, super beefy truck. I think we should also add in there some nice objective way of measuring the smoothness of the ride we get. Like we compare it to a round wheel drive and see how close we can get.
Instrumentation.
Precisely.
Okay.
What I'm trying to figure out here is that if we took a wheel like this and changed it into something shaped more like this, a square, how fast would we have to go to stay on the corners like so and actually end up with a smooth ride? Whether that's possible or not, at what speed that occurs, that's what we're trying to find out.
And first up comes the brainstorm. How to design a square wheel in the first place.
How's this square wheel gonna look?
It's going to be square.
Right.
Reinventing the wheel is no easy feat.
Obviously, we're gonna go with steel for this. What about something like, a straight box?
Well, I think that's a decent place to start.
Every single wheel rotation
And then we spider out with some gussets.
could lead to a catastrophic collapse
That'll start to look pretty sexy.
because of the 5,000-pound truck that they'll be carrying.
This is really gonna be bizarre.
Yeah.
But by thinking inside the square, their idea gets into gear.
Cool.
Well, let's get to it.
Yeah.
The final four-sided design has reinforcements at the center and corners, making it incredibly strong, but also incredibly complex. And with so many individual pieces of steel, it'll need to be laser cut. And thanks to the wonders of television,
Our parts are here.
They're here.
that takes no time at all.
That is gorgeous. Man, those are so pretty.
Let's set one up.
Okay, these come in like this. This goes here. This is from years of building Legos without looking at the instructions. These laser cut parts are absolutely gorgeous. They're coming together beautifully, and Jamie and I have quite an efficient little assembly line going here. You can't tell, but he's just as happy as I am.
It's an assembly line because the prefab wheels require hundreds of individual welds.
In order to keep our square wheels from each weighing like 200 pounds apiece, we've designed it all out of 3/16-inch steel. Now that may not seem like much, but the design and the gussets and the distribution of the forces really ought to be able to take this. But with steel this thin, you can't just lay in these big fat welding beads. You actually have to stitch it carefully because the stuff, if it gets too hot, can warp, and that's bad. It's a laborious process, but hopefully it'll be worth it.
And once the MythBusters get their heads down, their hubs are soon looking like the wheel deal.
Nice.
Want to grab a side? Let's put it on the ground.
Yeah, this is how the tire goes on, right?
Hopefully. That has a satisfying ring to it, doesn't it?
It really does. It rings like a bell. It's so pretty.
I'll be right back.
It's a square wheel. Those two words shouldn't go together.
They shouldn't, but this isn't quite up to shape yet.
Well, there's your problem.
Because next, it's time for the rubber to meet the rim.
When you started this job, did you ever imagine you'd be lubing a square tire to fit a large piece of rubber on it?
That's been my lifelong dream.
In theory, the guide bars should make levering on the tire easier.
Go ahead and get a clamp on that. Yeah.
But trying to fit a square peg into a round hole is just as difficult as it sounds.
My family's been fitting square wheels for 2 centuries now. No one's bought one, though. I want my square wheels!
Even bringing in a 2,000-pound wrecking ball
This is like how the Egyptians do it.
The old Egyptian forklift.
doesn't get the tire onto the square. So Jamie has a solution.
We are literally trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And I had designed the size of this steel wheel to perfectly fit the tire that I chose. The thing is that while I could eventually get it over the square wheel, I might not be able to get it back up again. So we're gonna jump up a size in the tires, slightly bigger. I hope it works. And shim them to where they fit properly. We'll be good to go.
Sometimes the simplest solution is also the most obvious.
How's it look?
Much better.
Dude!
I was able to just put it on by hand.
Wow.
That is a square wheel.
That is, without a doubt, a square friggin' wheel.
Thanks to their ingenuity and hard work, the MythBusters have squared the circle.
Doing that makes me nervous.
Now, they just have to complete another 3. Next up, a conjoined car caper.
All right, so we have another Hollywood myth, and this one comes from the movie Date Night, where 2 cars get into a head-on collision and become conjoined. Not only that, but they continue to drive around the city.
I know this one. They actually get stuck together. They go forward, backward, go around corners. It's awesome.
A little demolition, a little stunt driving. I love it.
It's a date night with a difference. According to the movie, 2 cars crash together, then speed down city streets, cut corners, and even manage a 180 spin. But could 2 conjoined cars even move, let alone achieve these turbocharged tricks?
All right, so we're gonna test whether these 2 conjoined cars can drive all these crazy maneuvers, right? But are we gonna test whether they can become joined that way in the first place?
No, actually, we don't have to test that. I was talking to these guys at the crash test facility, and they were saying that this can happen. Cars can become connected in a collision. It's very rare, like 1 in 100,000 chances, but it can happen.
Which means that could take days and days to replicate, not to mention that's quite a chunk of change.
Okay, so we'll join the cars ourselves, and we'll do just like they did in the movie, nose to nose, and make sure that they never separate.
Cool, because this myth really is about the maneuvers and not whether they can get stuck together. And we've got to design something that can accelerate, brake, do slide turns, 180s, and safely.
Exactly. Now the real question is, how the heck are we gonna do this?
Well, step 1 is to get 2 cars more or less identical to the ones in the movie.
Here's what we got. Over here we have our cab, which is a basic sedan, rear-wheel drive. And for our sports sedan, since we can't afford a $158,000 car just to wreck, we got one with equivalent technology, it's got equivalent horsepower, and it's all-wheel drive.
And with that, step 2 is to turn them into a double act.
Whoa, hey, that?
It's got missiles. This is the coolest car ever. What the heck are these?
But connecting two cars bumper to bumper was never going to be easy.
All right, well, problem number one, this car has an all-aluminum frame, so there's no welding to it.
Well, that sucks.
No welding means that the MythBusters will have to come up with a plan B.
Now, initially, we were going to try and connect to the bumper, but that's not the strongest part of the car. The strongest part of the car is actually the frame. That's where the driver's cage is. That's the most rigid part of the car. So we're going to use that to connect frame to frame instead of bumper to bumper.
Let's put these cars together.
It's a heavy-duty solution
Oh, not using the light stuff.
that'll ensure that their heavy-duty cars stay nose-to-nose on the track.
Now, each of these cars weighs over 2 tons and will have to be stuck together driving over 40 miles an hour. So, we've designed a steel frame that will fuse to the taxi and that will bolt to the sedan. Simple.
And all that serious steel means they've got some serious welding to do.
Glamorous.
Very glamorous.
The guys take a page from Flashdance as the sparks fly. And slowly the date-night frame comes together.
All right, so we're done building the frame that's going to keep the two cars together. As you can see, we've overbuilt it because there's going to be so much torque on that frame from the two cars that it has to be strong. The only thing left to do is to attach the frame to the bottom of the cars to get those two cars connected.
It's like a giant steel bow tie.
Cut the muffler off of any car, it sounds cooler.
The cars have got serious muscle, but with the aluminum side bolted in and the other side welded on, the frame should keep that in check.
So, all we need to do is get our cars on the flatbed and take it out to location to test this myth.
That's all they have to do. But with the connected cars weighing in at 4 tons,
Ho-ho! I think we got a problem here with this forklift.
that's not an easy proposition.
Whoa,
What's that?
it's making evil noises and it's kind of doing like this. Who would have thought this would be the most difficult part of the day? Just packing up the cars. We haven't even started the experiment.
Well, there's something you don't see every day.
Eventually, the double wide is loaded up and ready for its turbocharged excursion.
See you there?
Since Jamie was just a baby, a circular wheel has been the design of choice for a smooth ride. But could a square wheel at speed be just as comfortable? Well, after squaring up a feat of engineering excellence, the MythBusters are ready to roll on testing.
Let's get out of here.
And with a truck packing plenty of power, they hit the road for a familiar testing ground.
I love this tarmac.
Nice day for a bouncy ride, huh?
Absolutely it is. Let's get started.
This thing about square wheels, not something you want to do on a public road. That's why we're out here on this runway where we can do whatever we want. Now, what we want to find out is whether we can drive fast enough in this truck with square wheels on it. Oh, look at that we end up with a smooth ride. And of course, we have to survive to tell the tale.
But it's not just about survival, it's also about data.
If these babies have any chance at all of giving us a smooth ride, how are we going to know beyond our own subjective experience? We need an objective measuring system for telling us how smooth our ride is. And that's where Jason and Scott come in. They work at LMS, a software and hardware engineering company that measures the vibration of all sorts of things, from cars to airplanes to washing machines. And they're going to measure our experiment.
Yep, Jason and Scott position the sensitive sensors in 3 key areas.
Good to go.
To track the vibration on the suspension, the steering column, and of course, the passengers. And with the test track set,
That looks festive.
they'll be put to use first in the round wheel control.
In 3, 2, 1, go. Here we go. Feels like a pretty nice ride so far.
As it should be.
Yeah.
55
5,
and 60.
60 miles an hour. Feels
feels pretty smooth. I think we got a good metric. Yeah. Bring it to a halt and head back to home base. Throw some square wheels on this puppy.
Unsurprisingly, the traditional wheels provide a comfortable ride, something that's backed up by the sensors.
We get anything good? Absolutely. So we see went up to about 60 miles an hour. Steering column and the seat pad are nice low levels of vibration as we'd expect.
That looks like a really good baseline.
Yep, we expect this to go way up with the square wheels, I'd say.
So do we.
Yeah.
All right, let's get it.
With the baseline set, it's time for the weirdest wheel change in automobile history.
This is so wrong. And yet it feels so right. The obscenity begins.
You know, I don't think you'd need a parking brake with these things.
No need to curb your wheels on the hill.
No.
No.
All four wheels are mounted and flat to the ground. But will they even turn, let alone get up to a speed that could be smooth?
Personally, I don't think we're going to get a smooth ride out of these square wheels. But more than that, with all of them flat, I seriously imagine that the first quarter turn, the first time the truck boonk and lands on that second part of the square, the truck may look at that as an accident and just shut down. We might not even get more than 1/4 turn on this test.
Well, as the MythBusters mantra goes, there's only one way to find out. But that's a way that first involves a suit up for safety. Because with the world's first set of square wheels doing the spinning, the MythBusters are taking no chances.
Let's do it.
Ready.
All right, here we go. The moment of truth. Square wheels, smooth ride. All four wheels flat. In 3, 2, 1, go.
They're off to a bumpy start.
Hey, that's right out.
But as Jamie accelerates, the ride seems to get smoother. At least until it suddenly stops altogether.
Something's dreadfully wrong.
Yeah, we're sitting sideways.
We're sitting sideways and we're not level.
I know.
Whoa! Oh, crap, Jamie. It's bad. Well, there's your problem.
What happened?
We sheared everything out of that wheel hub.
All the bolts.
All of them.
Well, at least it didn't ruin the wheels.
Yeah, exactly. The term of art for that is one hell of a ride. Go! The methodology was to start out with just one hop, just get over 1/4 turn and see how it felt, make sure the airbags don't go up. So Jamie did that, and then the moment that seemed okay, he floored it. Whoa! Hey! That flew right out! And for about 5 seconds there, it felt like we were actually getting something approaching a smooth ride. And then everything fell apart. The fact is, this is one of the most powerful trucks we could get our hands on, and driving with all four wheels flat, just too much for it.
But even in that 15-second window, the wheels did get up enough speed to spin corner to corner. However, do the sensors confirm that it was smooth?
All right, Scott, what do you got for us?
Well, you can definitely see some trends here. As the speed goes up, the vertical acceleration in the suspension is definitely going down. If I go to the steering column, you see the same trend. As the speed goes up, vibrational energy definitely goes down.
Well, the data is pretty compelling, and it actually seems to match what Jamie and I felt in the truck, which is that before it destroyed itself, we actually felt the ride smoothing out. There might just be something to this, so we're going to keep on testing it.
Absolutely, because it ain't over until the square wheels spin and don't fall off the truck. The MythBusters have got double the trouble with a date night double driving myth. And after some ingenious automotive surgery,
Look, Ma, no hands.
the conjoined cars are at Alameda ready for the maneuvering mayhem.
So we're testing a myth in the movie Date Night, where two cars get in a head-on collision and they become linked together. During this whole 3-minute sequence, they drive around and around, back and forth. We're gonna start with the straight line test because potentially that is the safest and the easiest on the cars.
That's right, they're breaking the scene into its elements. The straight line test, the 90-degree turn, and the 180 spin. And first up, they're going straight. With the cab in neutral, can the sports sedan really shove it backwards at 40 miles an hour from a standing start?
Woo!
Well, once the cab gets its obligatory MythBusters makeover,
Now that's a taxi.
it's time to find out.
All right, so I'm gonna be playing the taxi driver. You guys are gonna be on a date.
All right, well, we're going 40 miles an hour as a myth state at a really fast street speed, and we're gonna start by going forward and backwards.
Can I drive first?
All right.
Let's go. It's our sports sedan. It's fast and it's got a lot of torque. But you know what? It's designed for a specific load. And by connecting our taxi cab to this car,
Hey, what are you doing? Get out of my way!
essentially we're doubling that load and making it even harder. And that means that all the torque that this car has, it's gonna need all of that to push this car out of the way.
Yep, the sports sedan may have the power, but can it shove the weight of the 4,000-pound taxi too? And can this double act max out at 40 miles an hour?
Ready?
Ready?
Let's do it.
All right, putting it into neutral. Parking brake off.
In 3, 2, 1, go!
Amazing. Just like the movie, the sports car takes the taxi for a ride. But there's a slight problem.
I've got no steering.
40 miles an hour!
I've got no steering.
Brakes, brakes, no steering, brakes, brakes, brakes.
I only got brakes.
We went off course pretty fast.
Off course is an understatement. The tandem cars only narrowly missed the fence.
So we got up to speed, and I guess you could call that a straight line. But man, that was scary. The problem is that the turning axles that control the steering on our tandem car are actually in the middle. And what used to be the rear wheels are at the front, which means you have very little control over where you're going. And of course, with the sports sedan pushing double the load, the brakes have to work twice as hard, and you need twice the space to come to a stop. Who knows what's gonna happen when we try to do this in reverse?
Yep, that's right. Reverse is next.
Let's do it.
Because stunt 2 of the movie has the sedan dragging the coasting cab at 40 miles an hour.
All right, 40 miles an hour in reverse. In 3, 2, 1, go! 20 miles an hour.
Look at that, we're already off course.
Once again, steering the 4-ton monstrosity is almost impossible.
40 miles an hour! Well, that's 40.
But the twin cars pull off the reverse.
Right now, it's looking very good for the myth. With connected cars, you can drive forwards and backwards at high speeds. You don't have much control, but it is possible. But I think the real question on everybody's mind is how's the date going? And from my vantage point, pretty well.
I got a joke for you. Bartender says we don't serve time travelers here. Time traveler walks into a bar.
Driving in a straight line may be confirmed, but there's still plenty of double driving
Start turning now.
and dating to come.
So can we call it? Was that our smooth ride?
Well, it started to smooth out, but then the truck broke and the wheel came off.
Yeah, that was almost bone-shattering. But it occurs to me, what if instead of all wheels being flat, we offset 2 of them to a 45-degree angle? Increasing the periodicity of the points hitting the ground might make the ride smoother and easier on the truck.
Yeah, that makes sense, but I start to worry that making things less symmetrical like that might set up some sort of an oscillation in a certain orientation that would end up flipping the truck, and that'd suck.
You're totally right. That then says to me that we want to do some small-scale testing. Try different wheel orientations and see which one we feel is both the safest for us, but also might be easiest on the truck.
I agree.
After a bone-shaking ride with all 4 wheels in the same orientation, it's time to experiment with some different configurations.
Now this is the orientation we had our wheels in for our most recent ride, and a bumpy ride. it was. But this is not the only orientation we need to have our 4 wheels. We could mount 2 of our wheels at a 45-degree offset to the other 2, thus doubling the frequency with which one of the points of the squares hits the ground for every rotation. Or we could offset each wheel by 22.5 degrees for every rotation, thus quadrupling the frequency with which one of the points hits the ground. Which one of these is going to give us the smoothest ride? I haven't the slightest idea. That's why we're about to test this in small scale.
And for that, they'll need a set of wheels. So Adam brings this out of the woodwork.
I think that's a good start.
Then it's time to tune up the treadmill to give it a run.
All right, let's try this.
First off, a little recap of why 4 in-sync wheels are so uncomfortable.
Ow.
But will offsetting the wheels by 45 degrees decrease the jolt factor?
Much better.
Wow. I didn't expect that to be so nice.
Let's ramp it up.
All right.
2 wheels offset diagonally at 45 degrees is a clear improvement.
Yeah!
But will the 22.5-degree combination be even better?
The way this works is that one's always flat, one's always at 45, and the other 2 are in the middle.
Okay.
Ooh.
That's the oscillation I was worried about.
Yeah.
That's what we don't want to do because that's what is going to flip the truck at speed.
A closer look at the 22.5 proves that the chassis is bouncing up and down and side to side, making the 45-degree offset the most stable configuration.
Our small-scale test showed that the best configuration was to have 2 opposing corners with their points down, the opposite 2 corners with their flats down. That balances things out the best, and so that's what we're going to do full scale.
I've got no steering.
So far in this date night driving drama, the conjoined car precision driving is 2 for 2. But next, the MythBusters are going round the bend.
All right, you ready to do this on the street?
We're all gonna crash.
So far, our 2-car monstrosity works great, but that's only in a straight line. Now it's time to take it to a curve. And that's why we're here on an unmarked intersection to see how well our cars do in a real city street on a turn. Carrie and I will be in the sports sedan, Tori will be in the taxi. Based on what I've seen so far, I'm not entirely sure how well this is going to work. But hey, if we hit the curb, at least the taxi's leading.
Get off my cab!
In the movie, with the sedan providing the power, the tandem cars take turns at speed. But will getting double the trouble round a 90-degree bend be that straightforward?
Taking it to the streets in 3, 2, 1, go!
Grant gets the conjoined car up to 40 miles per hour, and then with the corner approaching, yanks the wheel.
So our turning radius is nothing.
But with the turning axles stuck in the middle of the cars, it's not looking good for the Myth.
This doesn't seem to be working.
After repeated attempts, the MythBusters and the cars are still behind the curve.
Well, you know, we're fighting so many things here, I mean, including traction.
Well, in the movie, it was wet outside, and we do have a fire truck on site.
So how about we slip slide around the corner?
By matching the road conditions of the movie, the theory is that water will reduce the grip of the tires and let the car drift around the bend.
My feeling is adding water is just gonna make it harder for us to turn. It's kind of like driving on an icy road. Even if you have steering that works, you're gonna lose traction and you're gonna go straight. Water, not gonna help us.
Well, with the road watered down, it's time to find out if Tori's right.
Slippery when wet. In 3, 2, 1, go!
Once again, the car gets up to 40 miles per hour, but doesn't achieve the wet and wild slide. And it's clear that water alone doesn't make a difference.
Dry road or wet road, we're still not making the turn. But in the movie, although the sports sedan was brand new, the taxi, not so much. So we're gonna replicate what you might see on a taxi that's done thousands of miles of city driving. Bald rear tires.
It's definitely a likely scenario.
Ready to burn some rubber?
Do it!
and our taxi driver is ready to strip those tires. Tori lays down some rubber.
Can you believe we're getting paid to do this?
And soon enough, the tires look like they've seen serious action.
It looks bald to me.
I think that's great. Let's go for it.
You got a piece of tire in your hair.
So this is our last-ditch attempt to get this turning to work. And we've balded the tires. We're going to have a wet road, thus reducing the traction of this set of tires. My prediction, probably still not going to work. I mean, we might get a better turn out of it, but look, there's no way we're making a 90-degree turn.
Well, let's find out.
All right, here we come, taking the corner.
In 3, 2, 1, go!
Once again, Grant takes it to 40,
Start turning now.
and then nothing.
Not much of a difference.
Just like the movie, the sports sedan does all the steering, but they're still nowhere close to cornering, meaning there's only one movie variable left to try.
Now we're gonna switch it up. This time we're gonna have the taxi pushing the sports car. And we're thinking because the taxi is a two-wheel drive and it has ball tires, that we'll be sliding more and hopefully pivot around the sports car to make the turn.
It's the last chance for the myth. If the taxi can't slip the corner, then this date night bend is busted. Tori guns the cab, pulls the wheel, but the cars don't turn left. Instead, 50 yards downstream, they suddenly veer right.
Okay, stop!
By pure fluke, Tori finally got the cars around a corner, even if it was the wrong one.
We made the turn. All right, maybe not the turn I wanted to make, but it still made the turn.
So why did we turn the wrong way? Well, here's my theory. See, the taxi is a regular rear-wheel drive car. When Tori yanked the wheel, the front wheels lost traction, and that made the car unstable. Because of the wet road and the bald tires, that instability eventually resulted in the rear wheels sliding out. Now, they happened to slide out to the left, and that meant the car turned to the right. Now, the sedan, on the other hand, has all-wheel drive and computerized traction control, so it never succumbed to the instability and thus never made the turn.
Whatever the reason for the wrong turn, one fact is clear. The corner turn is on the road to nowhere.
Okay, stop!
Driving in a straight line forward, confirmed. Driving in a straight line backwards, confirmed. Cornering, busted. We may have made the corner, but it was the wrong one, which is pretty much gonna get you killed. So the real question is, can we do the most spectacular maneuver, the 180 spin? I, for one, cannot wait for this one.
Hey, we've been testing how fast you need to go in a vehicle that's got square wheels to get a smooth ride, and we've determined already that it's not as simple as just putting square wheels on your car. We put some on our truck and we broke it. Then we figured there might be other orientations than just all four wheels flat that'll give us a smoother ride. So we've tried a bunch of those out in small scale. We've got the pattern we think is going to work, and we've come back out here to the Alameda runway. We're going to try it again.
Our lives have officially become a cartoon.
With the wheel hubs back in shape after their last outing, it's time for the truck to get squared.
There it is.
And this time, two diagonal wheels are offset by 45 degrees.
Our creation, she's ready to take life.
But will that configuration make all the difference?
A prediction? Yeah, I got a prediction. I think this is going to be super unpleasant for us in the driver and passenger seat. I just don't see any way that even going at like 50 miles an hour, this is going to smooth out. I just don't see it.
Well, with the sensors mounted and the MythBusters wrapped up in their safety gear,
All right, sir, you ready for this?
Ready as I'll ever be.
will they get that smoother ride fair and square?
Square wheels, smooth ride, 45-degree diamond formation, and 3, 2, 1, go! Oh! Whoa! Yeah! Come on, baby! Oh, that's not bad! Faster!
To begin with, the offset wheels are smoother.
Yeah! Holy wow!
And as lead-footed Heinemann gets the truck up to speed, continues to improve. That is, until the wheels can take it no more.
Wow! Wow! That was intense. That wasn't half bad when you got up to 20 miles an hour.
I got enough brakes though. I think the truck didn't like it too much.
I don't think it did either. Did we lose all 4 tires?
I think so, although one of them just sort of stayed on the truck and just not on the wheel.
Not bad!
As we had hoped, the faster we went, the less of the really heavy hammering we felt.
Yeah! Holy!
But that was substituted for something else that seemed like it might even be worse. It was just a really sharp, hard vibration that I couldn't help but think was doing something horrible to the bottom of the truck.
Once we were up to speed, once we were up to the fastest speed we could get, which turns out to be about 18 miles an hour, I have to admit that I am impressed with how smooth that ride was. It was smoother than I thought it was going to be. Let's put it that way.
Adam thinks the ride evened out, but was it enough to ever be called smooth?
So how does the data look?
Well, here's your speed in red, and you can see where you kind of slowed down and there's a lot of vibration. As you sped up, the vibration of the steering column really starts to trend off.
Well, that's pretty much just what we felt in the cab.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The ride was progressively smoother, but it was also progressively destructive, with the tires and brake pads coming off completely.
Well, that was one of the worst things that ever happened to that car.
It was fun though.
Absolutely.
It does make me think though.
You got an idea?
I do.
Awesome.
At the other end of the runway,
You ready for the fun maneuvers?
Oh, yeah.
the tandem car trio are taking the date night myth for its final spin.
So we have one more test to perform, and this is the finale of this sequence. Now, in a desperate attempt to finally get the 2 cars free, one driver turns a wheel in one direction, the other driver turns a wheel in the other direction, and instead of breaking apart, they spin around in a circle. But before we attempt that with this 2-car freak show, what we need is a little practice.
A little practice with practiced defensive driver, Alameda County Sheriff Marvin Ruff.
Hi.
Hey,
You ready to teach me to drive dangerously safely?
I am ready.
The guys will get to grips with the 180 spin technique on a normal car first.
Hand on the gear shift, spin the wheel.
Only when they've mastered this
Nice and smooth.
will they unleash their 2-car beast.
Look at your focal point.
Snap and roll, baby.
And just like that, school's out. So bring on this myth's grand finale.
Now, we know from the movie that it was a little vague who was doing the pushing, and after all of our corner tests, we're pretty sure the taxi's the one that has to do it.
In theory, having the thrust come from the rear-wheel drive taxi should increase their chances of making the 180.
All right, water, engage. Out of the way, or you're gonna get wet.
And 2,000 gallons of gray water will replicate the wet road conditions of the movie.
My big concern on this next test is flipping the cars. I mean, we've done this maneuver with one car, and it felt like it was gonna flip. Now that we have 2, that's a lot more weight that could potentially cause these cars to roll. That could totally ruin Cary and Grant State.
Flipping out is a very real possibility for this test, particularly because this time the cars are going to peak at 50 miles an hour.
Okay, this is date night.
Spin around. 3, 2, 1, go!
For the last time, Tori puts the pedal to the metal and pushes their conjoined colossus up to speed.
40, 50 miles.
Then, the moment they hit the wet patch, Tori and Carrie turn their steering wheels in opposite directions. And how do you know? A 180 spin. Not quite as clean as the movie, but a 180 nonetheless.
Woo! That's better than coffee.
I think I popped my back tire.
It's true that both rear tires popped, but they're the only things worse for wear.
It worked! We got the cars to spin just like in the movie.
That was awesome. I think we have to call that confirmed.
Absolutely confirmed and absolutely exhilarating.
I was having the time of my life. I was looking Tori dead in the eye half the time, going, come on! I knew exactly what he was doing, and it was so exciting. Pretty good! So yeah, that was pretty much the best date I've ever been on.
Now, we've done a little research, and as it turns out, in order to achieve this effect in the movie, the special effects artist built one giant single chassis for both cars. All wheels had steering, and they had caster wheels underneath to stabilize. The actors weren't driving, the driver was actually in the trunk. And we achieved the very same effect with nothing but good old bald tires. Well, that was good fun.
Well, it ain't a date with a MythBuster till the wheels come off.
So it was a good date.
It was a good date.
At the waste management facility in Altamont,
This is like the weirdest sport ever. Sorry. It's like bowling towards a Hoosier with witches' hats. I don't know what you would call that.
the MythBusters are making the Earth move for Jamie's big idea.
It looks great from here, Jamie. Good. Let's face it, there's a very good reason they don't put square wheels on cars. But you know, that started me thinking. Maybe there are circumstances where square wheels would be the best thing. Like, what if you had a really steep hill covered with loose dirt that you wanted to climb?
And that is where this comes in. A smooth slope leading to an almost vertical wall and filled with loose dirt. This is the ultimate testing ground to compare the efficacy of square wheels versus round wheels.
50 feet high and with varying degrees of steepness,
This ought to be fun.
this hill has exactly the kind of off-road conditions for the ultimate test of the MythBusters square wheels.
Here's how this test is going to go. First, we are going to take the truck with its round wheels and we're going to drive it up that slope as far as we can make it. Let's say we make it about halfway up. Editors, will you give me a dotted line halfway up the slope? Thank you. Then we're going to bolt the square wheels to the truck and we're going to take the same slope and see if we can make it farther. If we can, we have literally reinvented the wheel. Well, I think everything's in place. Shall we suit up and do the round wheel test?
I don't see why not.
All right. If we can't, we've just proven what we already suspected. Square wheels are stupid.
It's a simple plan,
You ready?
I am now.
and it all comes down to Jamie's theory on why square wheels could work better on loose ground.
When it comes to soft surfaces, the thing about round wheels is that all of the weight of the vehicle is right here where it contacts the ground. The PSI there is very high. That means that it'll easily sink through soft stuff and get buried. Also, as it tries to roll forward, it tends to plow that soft stuff ahead of it, which makes it hard to climb out of things. And that's why in things like sand or snow or loose dirt,
And we're stuck.
you get stuck. On the other hand, our square wheel has this entire surface contacting the ground, which means that the PSI is going to be a small fraction of what it would be under a round tire. And then when you try to move forward, instead of just plowing into the dirt, it's going to actually cut into it and actually lever the whole vehicle ahead. At least that's the theory.
That's the theory. So it's time to get trucking.
Round wheel hill climbing control test in 3, 2, 1.
You think that's as high as you can go?
I think so.
That's pretty darn high.
Yep.
Halfway up the hill, and the round wheels can't get a grip on the loose earth. So the benchmark to beat has been set.
What do we do now?
I don't know.
Back down slowly?
If I can. Ooh.
Which means the MythBusters must return to the start line
Oh! That is intense.
and swap out the wheels.
It's like one of those, what are we doing moments.
I think we have more of those moments than we do the normal ones.
Time for predictions. I myself believe that the square wheels are actually going to make it farther than the round wheels. I'm guessing by like 10 or 15 feet. But more importantly is Jamie's prediction. Now you notice if you watch previous episodes of MythBusters that he doesn't like making a solid prediction. He likes saying a version of who can say. That's why we're doing this experiment. But in this case, he actually also thinks the square wheels have a really good chance of climbing this hill. Watch this.
Our round wheels got us about halfway up the loose dirt on the steep part. Now, we're never going to get all the way up because, well, it's vertical up there and we just can't do that. But the square wheels, I think they're going to get us most of the way there.
Huh, so Jamie made a prediction and it's the same as mine. I hope we're right.
Well, it's now or never. With the halfway mark to beat, can the square wheels make a molehill out of a mountain?
You scared?
Nah, just a little hill. And we've got square wheels.
Exactly. This is Square Wheels, the final hill climb. And 3, 2, 1, go! Oh yeah, come on. Yes! 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 Come on! Bring that ball! Bring it! Yes! No!
Just like the round wheels, the spinning square wheels can't get purchase on the loose ground.
All right, we're going up real slow now. Hill climbing in square wheels. Go!
So for take 2, the Heinemann goes for a slow and steady approach.
This is promising. Woo! Yeehaw! Moving forward. Right, moving forward.
You know what?
What?
I don't think they're working.
I don't think they're working either. We tied at best. We touched the tape. But I don't know if we can beat it.
I don't think we can.
I think you just gotta face it. Square wheels are just plain stupid.
It seems the MythBusters had to reinvent the wheel to discover that square wheels are just too, well, square.
Woo. Well, that was frickin' spectacular. We start climbing the hill. I'm feeling really good. I can only imagine the volume booster tail of dust we're kicking up. We get up to the tape. We're touching the tape. I'm thinking we're gonna break the tape. More. And then we just stayed stationary. We made it exactly as far up this hill as we did in our round wheels. I can't think of any better test to demonstrate that there isn't really a specific advantage to the square tires.
Well, there you have it. At best, our square wheels did the same job the round wheels did on this course. I gotta say, I'm disappointed in it though, because I really think there's something to these wheels. There may be other environments out there where they would actually prove superior to round wheels, but as of this point, they're not. So how do you want to call this? Do square wheels give you a smooth ride?
Well, as ridiculous as it may seem, I think we gotta call that one plausible.
What about hill climbing?
That one, not so much. The square wheels didn't provide any kind of significant advantage over the round wheels.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
You wanna drive back to the shop?
Now let's walk. It's more comfortable.
Okay. I think this is the last we'll see of the square wheels.
Not by a long shot.